Welcome to the Do You Know Him podcast. My name is Lowell King. I'll be your host today. Today's podcast is simply entitled 549. The 549 actually represents 5:49 a.m. in the morning. And I wanted to share with you a story that actually occurred in my life a couple of years ago. And it had a profound effect on me, and I just thought I'd share it. Maybe it would be interesting to you, but it also may affect you the same way it affected me. We were in bed. I'm trying to remember exactly the month it was, but it was that time of year when it's cool in the evenings and usually cool in the daytime as well. And we had put our flannel sheets onto our bed because they keep you nice and warm during the winter and the late fall and even in the early spring. And so usually we put the flannel sheets on and then a comforter. And that morning, I remember when I was waking up, I realized how cool it was in the house that morning. I guess we didn't have our heater on for some reason, or maybe it was on a low temperature. And I glanced past my wife. She was kind of like on a pillow. She was still asleep. And I could just see the corner of the clock, and it said 49. And then I kind of glanced back over towards the television. It was on our dresser, and the cable box said 5:49. I realized I was about 11 minutes away from actually waking up and getting my day started. And I was kind of enjoying the fact that I could just, take my time to wake up. Normally I'll wake up right at 6 and then I've got to jump out of bed and just keep going and kind of wake up in the process of, from the time you get out of bed and then you're half asleep. And this way I was able to just relax and just enjoy the 11 minutes I had left to take my time to think about a few things, as well as take some time to pray for both my wife and my family. But I also included another lady that was in our Bible study who was going through some issues, and she needed prayer as well. So I took time to pray for her. And after, I don't know, it seemed like a few minutes, or I'm not exactly sure what length of time, I glanced back over and I realized it still said 5:49. And I thought, well, how could that be? I don't understand how it could be 5:49 still. It was so much that I had thought about. I took time to pray. And I thought, how quickly time seems to slip through our fingers sometimes. But on the other hand, I guess sometimes time drags on. And it's kind of interesting that so much could happen in such a brief period of time. And yet it's still 5:49. So I thought, well, okay, fine. That's, I still had 11 minutes to take the time to get up and wake up. And as I was laying there kind of getting my thoughts together, all of a sudden it crossed my mind that, wow, I don't know why I thought of Scrooge. And I was thinking about how, at towards the end of his life, that he was given this opportunity to kind of rehash and rethink some of his priorities, some of the decisions that he had made in life, the way he had treated people, and he wasn't a real nice guy. So I was kind of like reassessing some of those thoughts in my own mind and started thinking, was there anything that I haven't finished? Have my priorities been correct? Have I done right by those people who have been around me? Have I done the very best I could do to bring glory to God in the process? And I was reminded about the story that Jesus told about the three servants that were given talents. And I don't know, I think in the story it was more of a representative of some kind of financial amount of money. But in reality, I think for me, I understand the story as being something more than just money. It can be an actual talent that God gives you. For example, a singer or a person who has a really analytical mind, who can do kind of amazing things and think things out the way, have they just become a couch potato and sitting around playing video games, or are they actually using their mind for some purpose? Could they be someone that plays a musical instrument or a writer? Uh, I'm just thinking about all these different talents that we all have. And the question, I guess, is, was I using my talents that I had? Although, in the story, some people only get one talent, some people get two, some people get five. I guess I'm probably one of those people that has the one or maybe two. I'm not an amazing person with all kinds of talents, but I do feel that God has given me some abilities that I want to be able to use in my lifetime to bring glory to Him, and know that whatever He gave me, that I used it for the best purpose. So as I'm thinking about all these things, and I'm thinking about Scrooge, and I'm thinking about him taking the time, or being given the time, to kind of analyze things, think them through. I'm doing it myself, and I glance back again. Sure enough, it's 5:49, and I thought, this is really completely crazy. I guess the clock could be broken, but how could both clocks be broken at 5:49? Didn't make any sense to me. And then for some reason, my mind flashed to a movie that I had seen years ago about this person who passed away, and in the movie, his spirit or his soul hovered above the body before it kind of floated away, and the body just remained stationary on the bed. And I kind of laughed inside, and because I really was sure that I was alive. But what if I wasn't? What if this was a time that God has given me to think about my priorities and some of the decisions I've made? Have I left things undone or unsaid? Has there been forgiveness that it should have been granted or asked for? Some of the things that we kind of put on the back burner because we don't think that they're that important, but in reality, they may be more important than some of the other things that we think are so important. So I'm going through all of this process, and I said, well, this is ridiculous. I got to get up, and I got to find out if my body's going to still be on the bed when the rest of me gets up. And sure enough, as I started to get up, I realized that the clock said 5:20, not the clock next to my wife. And I thought it was 5:49, and then I remembered that I could see the 49, and then the rest of the time I'm looking at the cable box, and it still says 5:49. Well, wait a minute now. If the cable box is 5:20, I'm sorry, the clock says 5:20 and 5:49, so that means it's been about half an hour that's gone past since I woke up. And when I woke up, it really wasn't 5:49, it was 4:49. And I'm putting all this together, and I'm laying there, and I'm saying, I laid back down in bed, and I thought, now it's only 5:20. I still have quite a bit of time before I'm going to have to get up. But why does the cable box say 5:49? And then I realized it's not the time, that's the channel I left the cable box on when we turned it off the last time. And I thought, how ridiculous, how crazy is this? So anyway, I laid there for a few minutes. I couldn't seem to go back to sleep. I kept thinking about all these things that were going through my mind. And I decided, I think I should just get up and just write all of this down. It's an interesting experience. It's caused me to do a lot of soul searching and a lot of thinking. And, maybe it's just something that I should share at some point in time. So that's exactly what I did. And I wrote it all down as the best I could remember of what occurred that morning. And then I started thinking that, wouldn't it be, not be funny, but wouldn't it be interesting, though, if here I am sitting in this chair and I'm writing all this down. And what if in the process of doing this, the Lord takes me home? And my wife comes and finds me sitting in this chair with my notes written on the notepad and a smile on my face. And I began to realize that, every breath that we take, every heartbeat that we experience are gifts from God. And so the whole process made me just rethink a lot of issues in my life, to think about what really is important. The old saying, you can't take, there's no trailer hitch on a hearse. You can't take everything with you. You can't take anything with you, for that matter. And so I guess the question is, where are our priorities? What is important to us? Is it something that really has value? Are we using the talents that God's given us to bring glory to Him? Are we exemplifying who Jesus is in our lives? Are we forgiving? Are we kind and generous? Are we accepting of others, regardless of their talents or their ethnicity or whatever it might be? Are we living the life that would bring glory to God? Well, this is Lowell King asking you probably the most important question that anyone will ever ask you in your entire life. Do you know Him?